Joy to see so many old friends, including this one from over from over the years. As Daiva mentioned, my wife Dharmini and I lead the center in Ananda in Chennai, in South India. It used to be called Madras, for those of you who are familiar with it. And I'm very grateful to be here with you on the occasion of your 3rd anniversary of Laurelwood. Congratulations. It's just stunning what you all have accomplished there, and also here. When we were showing the people in Chennai the pictures of the different Ananda communities throughout the world, when we showed that aerial picture of Laurelwood, the whole group went, wow. And that just about sums it up. It's really quite marvelous. We in Chennai just celebrated our 1st year anniversary not too long ago, in January. January a year ago, Swami Kriyananda came to Chennai to give a talk, and Chennai was a city where there was nothing active of Ananda at that time. And so they rented a large hall, which was seemingly, to everyone's mind, too large. And so the organizer assured them, listen, we can close all the balconies and then open them up only if we need to. And okay, so it would only be 1,500 seats instead of 2,000. And so by half an hour before Swamiji's talk, the place was already full. And so not only were there 2,000 people crammed into the place and the foyer watching it on the TV and so on, but there were 1,000 more people turned away. So given that experience, Swamiji said, we have to have something happen here. There's obviously a demand. I mean, even if only 10% of the people show up, that's 300 people. So he wrote to Dharmini and me. We were at the time leading Ananda's work in Los Angeles, and he said, could you please move to Chennai? And yes, that about sums it up. I kind of, it's early in the morning. Can you read that? Because it looks like he's saying, can you please move to Chennai? And it really threw us, because we were fully into our lives. And this, of course, is what happens when you're into a certain direction and you're committed and going. Well, this is how things are going to be, and perhaps forever. And then suddenly, the divine curveball arrives, and it is a choice. We had a choice. The way his email was written, it sounded like, look, it's up to you. You can move to Chennai or move to Chennai, whichever you want. But we knew we had a choice. And on a certain level, yes, it did take courage. But on the other hand, in a way, it takes more courage to resist that inner voice. Because when we have something inside us that tells us this is the right thing to do, then in a certain way we know we're safe. We don't know how it's all going to work out. We don't have all the answers. It wouldn't be an adventure if we knew everything up front. But when we have that inner calmness, then we know, okay, I'd better do this. I know it will work out. And that can be the source of our courage. And so when we got to Chennai, we realized that there is a huge recognition of Babaji there. And in fact, it's to the point that before we even had our kitchen set up and we were ordering food, the delivery guy would come in, we'd open the door, he'd see the altar and say, Babaji. So I don't know when's the last time the Domino's pizza guy, coming to your house recognized Babaji. But it was a new experience for us. What happened is there was a movie made by the most famous movie star in South India about Babaji. And so that's how the recognition of him spread. And the Babaji parts of the movie are very good. It's a very nice movie. But we found people then coming to the center interested in Babaji. And we didn't know exactly how would this translate to Master and Swami Kriyananda and all of Ananda and these Americans and so on. Americans teaching meditation in India seems a little bit like coals to Newcastle. But it's not, because there, many people have told us, I want to meditate, I don't know how. I ask people, they say, concentrate on the flame. But I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I want a technique, and especially if they hear of kriya, they want that technique. I want to accelerate my spiritual progress. How do I do it, and how do I get support? meditation is often something portrayed as doing alone in the cave, and it is a solitary journey, but what joy when we can have friends, gurubhais, and satsang, encouragement of others along the way. As Nayaswami Haridas, for those of you who know him, said, sometimes we heal each other at a glance. Just a smile from a friend who doesn't even know anything of what we're going through. Says, oh, your eyes are so bright and shining. Yes, with tears of all that I'm going through. And so that's the great benefit of community, and that's another thing that in India people are really appreciating, that encouragement and support. So we were still kind of feeling out how is this going to go. And in one discipleship class recently, one of the students said, I came for Babaji. That's why I'm here. That's how I knew about any of these things. Now, every time I pray to Babaji, Yogananda Ji's face appears. Why? And it was so sweet because we started hearing more and more stories of that. Not because we gave big lectures about how, yes, you, all the masters, but Yogananda particularly brought, no, it just, he was sorting it out for them. There was a man in India recently taking kriya initiation in Gurgaon, where Nayaswami Dhyana leads that center there, for those of you who know her. And this man was in this kriya initiation. It wasn't his first kriya. And he saw Nayaswami Jyotish and Devi were leading the kriya. And so he was trying to see how he could sort of pace himself out so that he would arrive at Jyotish for the blessing. And he was doing, sometimes we call it the Ananda shuffle, just sort of, you know, okay, this one goes, and then, no, please, you go ahead, and all that. And as it turned out, he ended up with Nayaswami Jaya instead. And so he kind of, okay, he was a little disappointed, he confessed. And when Jaya touched him for the blessing, he said later to Dhyana, he said, I saw this bright light and I heard Master's voice in my ear saying, I'm giving the kriya. And that's another important thing to remember, especially relating to courage, because we, especially in service to Yogananda, in service to each other, we are not the source. Yogananda is saying, I'm making the lunch. I'm giving the conference on sharing nature and so on. He's doing it through us to the extent that we invite him and allow him. And then he's running the show. So when you were a kid in the passenger seat and your mom was driving or dad was driving, we didn't necessarily feel responsible for, watch out, make sure you turn, slow down, and so on. Because mom is driving. So similarly, Yoganandaji is driving. So just to finish that thought, this woman's sister, who was the woman who said, why is Yogananda appearing in place of Babaji? Her sister said that she was walking to a restaurant. When she was walking back with her husband, they realized that they were missing their keys. And they were very concerned. And she said, so we immediately started bickering. Why did you have the keys? No, I had the keys. No, and they went on back and forth like this. They started to retrace their steps. And as they were walking, she began praying. This is before she was about to take discipleship. And she said, Guruji, you must give me the keys and you must give them to me like this. She was not afraid to ask. And so when they got back to the restaurant, they asked someone who was at the table cleaning up, did you find any keys or anything like that? And he went over to the man at the counter and he said something, and the man instantly pulled out the keys and held them out like this. And she was just amazed. And then she turned to her husband and said, see, I have a guru now, and so this is what he does, and you better follow him too. So the last thing I wanted to close on with the thought of courage, because again, she had the courage to demand lovingly, knowing that her demand would be heard. Of course it would be. I mean, God doesn't want you to lose your keys, maybe for a few minutes, but not forever. Because in those moments, okay, I need help now. And I had my keys, I felt fine, but now I don't have them. And so sometimes Divine Mother grabs our keys just to get our attention. But this thought of out of 1,000, one seeks me, and out of 1,000 who seek me, one knows me. as, first of all, it can sound a little discouraging. Like, oh my gosh, we have to have all the courage we can just to not be in the 999 club. But Yogananda ji said, our percentages are far, far ahead with that particular statistic. And also, it's very important to remember that it's actually the opposite. It's not to say, I need courage to be that 1 out of 1,000. The point is that it has taken you courage because you already are 1 out of that 1,000. You wouldn't be sitting here and you wouldn't continue to come all the time if you weren't interested, if you hadn't made a heroic effort, both in this lifetime and in past lifetimes, to be interested in God. As Master said, it takes very, very, very good karma, even to want to know God and to go beyond wanting to know Him, but to give your time, give your energy, commit your life. You know, sometimes we look at our lives and kind of think, well, you know, maybe next time. As it also says in the Gita, you know, Arjuna asks Krishna after getting all this insight, he says, so what happens, Krishna, to a devotee who doesn't make it this time? And it can be tempting to read that and think, yeah, I better read this part carefully because this is me. It's not. That statement of what happens to a devotee, it says that he is born into a family where he can quickly resume his spiritual progress. That describes you in the last life. It was the last life where perhaps we didn't make it to our final goal. We're here and able to quickly pick up where we left off. So keep that in mind, that you are 1 out of that 1,000, and out of all these thousands, using Yogananda ji's percentage, that we're far, far ahead of that, then just take the courage to go all the way to God. God bless you.